So we're trying something a little bit different. Bear with us. We're not going to have quite the slick production that we always have with CP producing the show. We're going to try this StreamYard that I was using earlier, see how well it works with Brian's Wi-Fi and everything. So I know his Skype likes to act up with OBS. OBS sucks. But we're also doing that, and we also have some things to show, part of the big announcement. So whenever everybody starts coming in, I'm going to play my intro video to my channel, and I want you guys to let me know if you can hear the audio that I'm sharing through that video so that we're not playing our announcement and nobody can hear what the hell we're announcing. So let's see. The chat just started rolling in. Deadly Replay, Tom Ungering, Tony Movie Chappie. What's going on, everybody? Once we start hitting about 50 viewing or whatever, I'll play that little video, and you guys can let me know if you can hear everything. Let's see. We can't see you guys. That's a problem.
I can see us, guys. I'm looking at the YouTube stream right now.
Okay. Let us know if there's any technical difficulties really quick, guys. Like I said, it's not going to be as slick and off to the races as normal because we're using a different program. Sound off in the comments if you can hear us, if you can see us, and then I'll play my intro video, and we'll see if you guys can hear that.
You know,
looks fine to me.
Looks fine on mine.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to play my channel intro video. I want you guys to let me know in the chat if you can hear the audio from it. All right. So. All right, so I played it. You guys let us know if you heard the audio for that, please.
There's a hell of a delay.
It's a bad delay, like it.
Yeah, it hasn't started yet. Oh.
No sound.
No sound.
Fuck. Why is it doing that?
And I can see it. I can see it's your Cody Leach Evil Dead logo.
Okay. All right. Give me just a second to figure that out then. There's one other thing that I can try.
Oh, shit.
I'll do it whenever we go to make the actual announcement. We'll just roll the dice on that one. So anyway, now that everybody can hear us, yes, Autopstream is finally back. It's been a little bit while since February, since we did our awards show. I don't think we've been back with this. So it's been...
Nothing's happened since we...
Not really a whole lot to talk about. You know what I mean? It's just been kind of dead. It's like it's a pandemic or some kind of end of the world. Brian, how's everything been going?
Good, yeah. I just not a right lot's changed for me, to be honest, because I homeschool the kids and all that stuff. So I'm usually at home most times anyway. But yeah.
CP, nothing major going on.
Yeah. What's funny is we've been kind of shitty anyway, and it's just, you know, we actually feel a bit more comfortable because there's a whole bunch of other people that are dealing with shit with money and stuff, and it's just like, oh.
Welcome to our world, bitch.
It's okay now. Cable's telling us to take our time.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, guys, glad to be back. We've tried a couple of times to get a stream off, but there's something has happened almost every single time. So this is one that we definitely wanted to have a stream to announce what we have to announce, so that we're all here and we could chat with you guys. Nothing dramatic, by the way. I saw a couple people speculating before the stream started. We're not breaking up. We're not. We're not. Nothing like that. So
no,
it's an announcement
or subtractions.
Yes. So you guys, you'll enjoy what we have. You'll enjoy what we have. Where's Mother Mayhem? Lindsay could not join us for this one, unfortunately. I'm hoping sometime in the future she'll be able to join us again, but her schedule is probably the worst of all of us as far as all the things that she has to juggle. So let's see. All right. Now, as far as this big announcement, I'm going to try to share my screen one more time. And let's see here. Let me get this queued up. And I'm really I'm going to try it again with my channel intro. And you guys let me know if the video comes in clear, if it's not laggy and shitty, and if the audio plays. This one I have to share my entire screen. So it's going to look weird for a second because you're going to see everything that I'm doing. So now,
All right.
Why is it not letting me? Of course it's going to be a bitch. StreamYard wants to share. Fuck. Well, this is really going to mess things up. See what happens, CP, when you let me take the wheel?
No, it's all right.
Well, you guys go ahead and entertain them while I try to figure this out for a few minutes,
shows
please.
how incredible I am. That's all.
Exactly.
Brian, so I just recently watched The Gentleman. I'm pretty sure you were one of the first to see that.
Yeah. British film, so it came out over here for a change. We got it before you guys.
Yeah, like last year, right? In November or something?
I believe. No. It still counts as from this year, but just early on.
I loved it. I really had a good time with that movie.
I really enjoyed that movie.
I do. I am actually a fan of Guy Ritchie. I didn't think I was, but when I look back over his career and his films, I do actually like most of his movies. I've not seen Swept Away, but I've been told it's a pile of crap. And Revolver, I just thought was incomprehensible. But everything else he's done, I've actually really liked. So
I still have not seen the most famous movies that he's done. I've never seen Lock, Stock, or Snatch.
Oh, Lock, Stock is better than Snatch, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
No, Snatch is better than Lock, Stock.
Excuse me, I'm wrong.
You are.
But I figured out Charlie Hunnam needs to be a side piece. Like Hollywood needs to stop trying to make Charlie Hunnam happen. Hunnam happen. He was good. He was good. Like what he was in this movie was good. So
I've seen him in a few films that I've really liked him at, actually, and I think you're right in the sense that they need to stop trying to do the whole star vehicle stuff.
Yeah,
but just put him in proper roles. Like just let him be an actor.
Oh, that's not what I want to do.
Just don't have the porn up. That's all.
Tessa Clark, 1980. Yeah, I have seen The Medusa Touch. I was quite young. Not seen it since. I do believe that's the one with the plane, where the guy brings the plane down towards the end or something. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but
I think I have a solution.
Oh.
It's saying if I share a Chrome tab, it will play the audio from that tab. So we will try that. But yeah, Guy Ritchie, he's one of those guys that, I never watched some of his earlier stuff, like the stuff that put him on the map I've never seen before. I really enjoyed, which apparently I was in the minority, his King Arthur movie. I thought that was actually pretty cool.
Kick-ass soundtrack to that as well.
Yeah. So I liked that a lot. I liked Aladdin a lot.
Yeah.
His Sherlock Holmes movies.
Sherlock Holmes is awesome in my opinion.
Sherlock Holmes. Actually, I stand corrected. Sherlock Holmes is actually what I watched first, and I did enjoy that.
And I really liked his version of Man from U.N.C.L.E., to be honest.
I need to go back to that because I watched it once when it came out and bought it and never went back to it and planned to. I certainly don't remember anything about it. I remember thinking it was okay, but just okay, and that's it.
Okay, I'm just gonna
go back to it. Watch it again.
Yeah.
Let me see if that.
How are you doing, Cody?
I've been doing good. I'm still working, so kind of like Brian said, not a whole lot's changed for me. It's a little harder to get some things, like you go to the grocery store and a lot of shit's taken, or at least it was. It's starting to be back to normal now. It's a little harder to entertain the kids with nowhere to take them sometimes, but other than that, no, it's been pretty regular around here. A lot of people in Georgia we haven't had the New York level of craziness yet, where
Yeah.
nobody's going anywhere, and you look outside, like traffic's the same. People wear masks. That's about the only thing that's been a little different. So yeah. All right, now we're gonna give this a shot. So I can share a Chrome tab, and it will share the audio. So I'm gonna try to share this one, and we'll see how it goes. So here we go, guys. Let me know if is it.
We might be able to hear it too. Who knows?
Okay, so let me take down. Hang on, there's one thing I got to take down. I'm gonna take down that Autopstream logo because it's blocking it. But here we go, and hopefully.
Can't see it.
Yeah, there's audio on it.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Ha! It worked, bitches. So, as some of you have speculated, and because our good friend Seanzy over there at Sean Chandler Talks About let it slip a little bit, you guys are getting 2 31 on 31s this year. So because not only before the pandemic we had this idea, so this was not anything that came from just being bored and not having anything to talk about. But yes, so we were talking a little bit earlier this year. Obviously, we do have conversations here and there about, what could we do to get away from the horror genre a little bit sometimes, and had the thought of, why don't we do 31 on 31 with a different genre? We didn't want to just take over and exclude the Halloween one with the horror genres, so we are going to be doing an action-centric 31 on 31 at the end of this month. So it's already been
Want to watch.
Oh, dude, I've been binging through them, and I'll tell you what, action franchises are so much easier to binge watch
Of course they are.
than horror franchises. Even the worst ones. Even when I get to like A Good Day to Die Hard, I'm like, it's not Texas Chainsaw Next Generation.
Yeah.
Where's the popcorn? So yes,
Problem
so
with
as
horror
the trailer
movies-
shows, we're going to be doing Rambo, Bourne, John Wick, Mission Impossible, Lethal Weapon, Bad Boys, and Die Hard. All 31 of those films ranked worst to best. All three of us, plus Sean Chandler Talks About, we invited him in to guest for this little special one. We thought you guys would enjoy that. So keep your eyes peeled, because at the end of this month, that is going to be popping off. And we've already played a teaser, so most of you have already kind of figured out what we're going to be doing for the Halloween one this October. But we'll release an official trailer showing all of those, just like I did with that one. So looks like everybody in the chat is liking it so far. Here we go. Filthy Dan, I've crapped my pants with joy. I'm so ready, guys. That's the kind of reaction we want, baby. Oh, man. So, yes, May 31st. Keep an eye out for 31 on 31. And huge thanks to Woody Bowen for throwing together that awesome new logo for the action one as well. No guarantee that we're going to be doing 2 a year from now on. It's just something that we thought would be fun. If this one succeeds like crazy, we might look into doing one mid-year, but we'll see, because those are a lot of work, a lot of anticipation, especially for guys like CP that go bananas with editing.
Yeah. That like in the back of my head, I'm like, not watching them is easy, but planning the things I want to do, I'm looking at the calendar like, oh, I better get started on some of this stuff.
Yeah, that's how I was when I started binge watching some of these franchises. I was like, oh shit, I got like 20 days. I better start watching some of these, because most of these I pretty much already have in my head where they're going to go. But there's some franchises, like I definitely need to rewatch Bourne. I need to rewatch John Wick 3 again because I didn't love it as much as everybody else. I want to see if that was just a first viewing experience. But I've been having a lot of fun revisiting Die Hard. I'm halfway through Mission Impossible again. Some of those, like Mission Impossible 3, I think I even messaged Brian. I was like, dude, I don't remember this being this damn good. Like I watched it and that came out right in there in that time when Tom Cruise was jumping on couches and shit. So I think it was a little bit weird to watch Tom Cruise movies. But you watch it now, it's just like, this fucking thing is good, man. Philip Seymour Hoffman's awesome.
Oh, dude, PSH is a villain.
He's probably the best villain in the franchise. I just still need to finish watching him. But yeah, he's that whole thing the movie opens up with, counting down to 1, is just crazy stuff. So so we figured we would drop that announcement, get you guys excited, and we're just going to talk for the rest of this stream about some of these franchises, some of our experiences with them. We're not going to get into like our rankings, which ones we like over which ones, but just kind of chat about action movies for a while. So hopefully you horror fanatics are cool with that, but that's what we're going to be doing. I see somebody dropping Fast 5 right here. Yeah, if we did. By the time next year comes and we get Fast 9, we might be able to throw that in one. By the time they're done making Fast and Furious movies, you can probably do a whole 31 on 31 on those.
I was thinking a while ago, sometime in between when we, figured out we were going to do this and like a week ago, that what was the common thread of these things? Like why not lean on Fast and Furious for the numbers?
Yeah. And I think at first I was going for action heroes like John McClane and John Wick and everything. That's kind of the thing we were going for.
Yeah, a dude with a gun saving the day. So like that's what it's like. That's the common thread with all these movies. There's somebody saving the day, usually with a gun.
Dude with a gun, not a car.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Fast and Furious is like it's a bunch of car movies. You can kind of, I don't know. It's why we haven't done Final Destination yet.
Yeah. That's probably a franchise that I'm gonna have to review very soon. I've had a lot of people asking me, even today in my little Q&A, they're like, "Where's the Final Destination reviews?" And I'm like, "They're coming at some point. They're coming." Yeah,
like
those are pretty. Go ahead.
Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen, Angel Has Fallen. Yeah.
I love Olympus Has Fallen. I didn't care much for London, and I bought Angel Has Fallen and have yet to watch it.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's all right. Is it better than London?
I reckon it is, but I did like London. Nowhere near as good as Olympus, but I did like it.
What I loved about Olympus Has Fallen, for all the movies that feel like Die Hard in something, Die Hard in a plane, Die Hard in a bus, he actually kind of has some of the attitude of John McClane that I like. Like whenever he's interrogating the two guys and the one dude starts talking shit and he's like, just stabs him and he's like, "Whoop, I'm a little rusty," and stuff like the little humor there. Olympus
Has Fallen to me, it came when crappy Die Hard movies were coming out, and it reminded me what a good Die Hard film actually looks like. So,
A Good Day to Die Hard is painful. I haven't rewatched that movie since theaters until last week, and it was worse than I remember for some reason. I thought the situation surrounding me seeing that movie in theaters was really unfortunate as far as who I was with. So I thought maybe that had tainted my experience so much that it wasn't as bad as I thought. But no, it's as bad as I thought. Is anybody else hearing the echo of my voice? Is that
no?
Okay. I didn't know if it was. Okay, we do have one super chat. Marshall Boy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just pop them up, CP. Don't worry about it. We'll pop them up as we go when we're doing this one, so we'll kind of go through. I appreciate 231 on 31s this year. I know they're time consuming. Thanks, guys. Yes, they are. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope you guys enjoy the hell out of it because yes, they are time consuming. They're for varying degrees. They're time consuming. I've kind of got my ranking process streamlined, but Willis Screedy over there likes to go all balls out to where it's like a 2-month long project. So I see his video and I'm like, that would take me a day just to do that. That would take
Dude, last year it was a 2-month lead up where I was like, all right, so this is what because I had like the movies playing behind the numbers. like I got really, really fancy about shit. So I had to go get footage of each movie, and some footage was pixelated, and I was like, I can't have that. And like it was just so ambitious, just so ridiculous. But if you pull it off, it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, here's a comment I have to highlight. Danny Gleason, Live Free or Die Hard was so good despite being PG-13. People,
you can be surprised.
I plead with you, watch the R-rated cut of that film. It's on the Blu-ray. I believe it's on the DVD. For a while there, you couldn't get it.
It is on the DVD.
Yeah, for a while there, you could only get on the DVD, but the Blu-ray release didn't have it. But they've changed that now. So even the box sets, watch the R-rated cut. I agree with you. I had a lot of fun with that movie, but despite it being PG-13, the R-rated cut, it raises that movie at least another letter grade. It really does, because all that John McClane isms, they're all there. So if any of you were turned off by the PG-13 cut, watch the R-rated cut. You'll change your mind.
That movie might be in my top half.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Have either of you seen, both of you seen Rambo Last Blood?
No.
Yeah.
No? Brian, did you watch the extended cut on, or actually, I think in the UK, they might have played, when you watched it, did it have an intro with him saving people on a mountain when water was coming down?
No.
Yeah, there's an extended cut.
I just saw the cut in the cinema, and I don't remember any of that. It just started with him on a ranch. So.
Yeah, exactly. There is an extended cut that they put on Amazon Prime. It's only on Amazon Prime. And it has this whole like 12-minute opening to the movie that shows where he's been, what he's been doing, where he's still like kind of saving people, where his headspace is at with the PTSD. The opening 10 minutes of the movie, I'm not saying it's a game changer, but I rewatched the movie for the first time since theaters with that new opening, and it made the movie so much better by the end of it. It actually felt more like a Rambo movie, where in theaters it kind of felt more like a Stallone revenge flick.
Just out of interest, this does raise the question. When you're doing your 31 list, do you go off the film that was released in cinemas, or do you go for whatever the best cut of the film is that's out there?
I'm going to go off the best cut, because I'm going to include I have only ever watched the R-rated cut of Live Free or Die Hard since theaters. And this Last Blood cut, I mean, my ranking probably won't change, because it's not like it takes it from a C to an A or something like that, but it at least raised the movie half a grade at minimum for me, to where that's the one that I'm going to kind of keep in my head.
Yeah, but by that logic, you'd have to, like, if you did Blade Runner, it could be its own little ranking series. Well,
yeah, that's a good one. When you rank Blade Runner, what cut do you think of?
Blade Runner, right, within itself.
If we ever do 31 on 31 sci-fi films, you're going to have to decide, Brian. You got to pick one.
Final cut all the way.
So, some people are saying, hey, Lindsay, some people are saying things like we left Matrix out and other things of that nature. Those things are considered technically sci-fi, so don't think we haven't thought some of this stuff through.
Oh yeah, I mean we've got ideas. We've got years of worth of ideas for 31 on 31, especially if we only do 1 or 2 a year. So yeah,
and at some point we'll be able to do a 31 on 31 of all our 31 on 31.
There you go.
What was our best 31 on 31 video?
How long would that be?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Getting meta in our old age.
I remember in the year 2022 when we did one on the worst franchises ever.
I think that would be last year for you, save for Psycho.
Like Mad
Oh
Max.
man.
CP is eloquent as ever.
It's a
We'll have to
good point.
update it next time we get another Texas Chainsaw. We'll have to update it and do another one.
Listen, Aliens and Predator are just begging to be put in one. So there's time. There's time. Whatever you're thinking, there's
Aliens,
time.
Predator, Terminator.
Let's just look at it this way. Look at it this way. That's the 31 on 31 I'm most looking forward to. Sci-fi
Yes.
one.
Hey, I'm throwing you a bone this
Aliens,
year with our horror list.
Yeah.
I'm throwing tonight. This year, I'll say this. This year is Brian's bread and butter with our horror list. So
far,
yeah. So far. So I had to throw him a bone after torturing him with Texas Chainsaw and Friday the 13th. Super chat.
Asian movie enthusiast. Yes.
Asian movie enthusiast. Thank you so much. Die Hard 4 had Cyril Raffaelli in a supporting role. He was the assassin. He was in District B13 and its sequel to. Those are fun action movies. Have you guys seen those?
No, did I see a remake? Didn't they do a remake of District 13, which was terrible? Did it have Paul Walker
I've
in
never
it?
heard of them.
I want to say I have, but I certainly don't remember.
I'm sure they did a remake with Paul Walker and it was terrible, but I think that's the only one I've seen anyway. But I have heard that they're good.
Asian, Japanese. Is it from one of those countries? District
French.
French.
Yeah, District. Okay. Yeah. I think Luc Besson produced them. Yes, Lindsay, it is the critic.
Ranking all 31 Netflix or all 31 Sci-Fi Channel films. All right, so out of these franchises, which one would you guys say is your favorite overall, or has been? The ones that we're doing for the 31. Mission Impossible. I think CP's going to say the same, isn't he?
You know, yeah, it's hard because Die Hard. There's that fifth one.
Why? Oh my God! You know what sucks is it's 4 fantastic action films, and then you have the 5th one.
Right?
It's like, why does this exist?
I think on curve, I think on average, Mission Impossible might be it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah. There's only one film in that franchise where it looked like it was going to go south, but
two.
Every other, yeah.
Yeah. So, would you rather have Mission Impossible 2 or Die Hard 5?
Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. But like. Oh man, I've been around here so long. Die Hard 1 and 3 are like, pretty undisputed when it comes to the Die Hard movies. I think. I think I understand criticisms for the 2nd and the 4th one.
So do I.
I do still like them. Whereas Mission Impossible, literally from the 3rd film onwards, they're just
better.
There's no. There's no dip. There's no dip in quality. It's just like.
Do you guys have any worry about Christopher McQuarrie coming back for 2 more? Being that it's kind of been a theme that Tom Cruise has wanted a different director's vision for every single film, and then now he's done 2 in a row, one of which people tend to consider as the best one, and now he's going to do 2 more back to back.
No, I think it's actually a good idea just in this instance, because like all the Mission Impossible films before McQuarrie came on board were kind of self-contained. I think there were a few little elements that crossed over, but on the whole they were pretty self-contained. And I think since McQuarrie's come on board, he started building a mythology in that world. He's tied up loose ends. He's brought his own stuff, like the main villain that they've got in there now, who again survived Fallout because he wants to keep it like the TV series in which he's plagued by the same villain I think having the same director who's got a clear vision, that's the primary thing, is do they have a clear vision? As long as they've got a clear vision, I don't give a toss who's directed.
Fallout was my favorite movie of that year when it came out.
It was definitely in my top 3. I just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
$2 super chat.
Yeah, I kind of have the same answer as Brian. As long as they have a vision. I mean, obviously, we've seen like the Russo brothers that have stayed on the same property, and for me, those films just got better for the most part. So, Winter Soldier, I still think is my favorite, but none of their 4 Marvel films I would sneeze at all. My only worry is I always tend to get worried when a creator stays in the same property for so long, because more times than not, by the time they get to the third or fourth time, they start to lose a little bit of their juice. But we'll see. Obviously, they have no reason to earn any doubt whatsoever so far. But yeah, Die Hard would probably be my favorite of the pick. I'm a fanatic of that first movie. The third film, I think, is pretty damn close in quality to the first one, with the exception of maybe like the last 5 minutes, how they decided to just wrap it up really quick. But I love the third one. Same thing, 2 and 4. I get the criticisms of both. 2 being very much rinse and repeat of the first film. 4 being way over the top while still being a lot of fun. But I love both of them. But my God, that fifth one, it's like when you look at averages, it's just like it's like this and then just goes down. I mean, to the point where they had no idea how to even rectify it from there. They had ideas for a prequel. They had ideas for a sequel. Now they're talking about a reboot now that Disney's got it. And it's just like, if you could just remove that fifth one from existence, it's like almost perfect franchise.
Going back to the question about what our favorite was.
Wait. Lost Boy bought BUs. $2. Thank you. Brian CP Cody, do you want a Lethal Weapon reboot? Question.
No.
No, I would much rather have a fifth film where they wrap it up and leave it there. I think that now that Mel Gibson's kind of getting out of Hollywood jail, I think Danny Glover's still got it in him. I loved Lethal Weapon 4. I don't know about you guys. I didn't even think that one where they were kind of like, now we're really too old for this shit. I didn't think that they were. I still think that one, especially with Jet Li coming in, kind of raised the stakes a bit for a villain. I think they could do a kick-ass fifth film. But as far as a reboot, no, they tried that on TV and it obviously didn't work. So if it's not Gibson, it's not Danny Glover, I don't have any interest. You could just make a buddy cop film.
I would love to see, and I'll probably get laughed out of the room, but I would love to see John McClane, Riggs, and Murtaugh in a film together. I'd love for them to cross Die Hard and Lethal
Buy
Weapon.
that for $1.
Yeah, definitely.
That would work. Just to see Riggs and McClane together, I think would be entertaining with those two.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was your question, though, Brian? About favorites?
I think Die Hard and Mission Impossible are kind of easier to judge in one regard because they do have a certain number of movies in them. Whereas if you look at something like John Wick, we're only 3 movies in. I think it's a lot easier to keep your consistency when you've only had 3 movies.
Absolutely.
At the same breath, Bad Boys, those 3 movies are pretty different.
But I don't. John Wick's there, and Bad Boys is there. So, like, I mean, not to give the game away, but
spoiler.
It's just like there is definitely a very specific quality to the John Wick movies that I could understand someone saying, yeah, that's my favorite action franchise. But in the end, I would have to say, hang on, we're only 3 films in. Mission Impossible, we're 6 films in, and we're on pretty damn good form. When the last one is probably the best in the franchise, but maybe not. We'll see. There's a good case for it anyway. I don't think there's many franchises where you get to the 6th entry and people can argue either way whether it's the best or not. But so when John Wick gets to 6 movies, then we can have that conversation. But
I kind of hope they wrap it up in 4, if I'm being honest. Not to say that I don't like the movies, but the thing with John Wick 3 that threw me off is for the longest time it felt like they were advertising it like, because the second one ends with, he's been disavowed he's been excommunicado, whatever they call it. And now all the assassin world is going to be coming after him, and he's going to have to go to the leaders of the assassin world and just end it all. And then John Wick 3 kind of pushes that storyline to the next one. And so that bugged me when I watched it, because I watched it just kind of felt like a stepping stone movie. Like, we're just going to have some action to get to the story that we were going to tell. And I would hate if they did that in 4, where you get to 4 and it's like, there's one more guy. John Wick 5 coming soon.
Well, the directors have already said that they want to keep making them as long as Keanu Reeves is fit enough to do them. So yeah, I think you're
and
gonna
if
see
they have a story that makes sense for that, I'm cool with it. Like if they wrap up this little World of Assassins thing and now there's this new threat or there's a reason to keep going, hell, as long as they're good, yeah, bring them on. I just don't want to be dick teased with story. You know what I mean? I know the John Wick films, typically you don't go for story. You go for a lot of action and a little world building.
Well, yeah, they introduced lore too in 3. Like the guy had the first whatever marker ever made, and then that one guy who was in the desert, and it's just like, well, it's just a really interesting world you're setting up here.
Yeah.
Can you finish the first stuff, or just can you open up here and just stop? Just pick one thing and get crazy about it, but always back to New York, always back to the hotel.
Do you feel like they're ever going to go back to the Bourne franchise, or do you feel like it's done for now?
I think if they do, it'll probably be remake territory.
Yeah. Filming an action scene. Yeah, I don't know. I'm of the. Me and Brian have talked about this off air, so I know he's going to agree. But I'm of the rare opinion that I really enjoyed the Bourne legacy, and I kind of like the way that they were expanding out that world a little bit. And then they hit the reviews, and they were like, no, we're not going to visit that. To hell with that. And then he got to Jason Bourne, which pretty much everybody and their mother creatively was like, is there a reason to get rid of the ending of Bourne Ultimatum just to throw him out there again? But I was a fan of the franchise, so I saw it, and I really did not enjoy that movie too much. And it kind of felt like it was as unnecessary as they thought it was when they said that they were done with 3. And part of that was because I was like, all right, at some point they got to bring Jeremy Renner into this, right? So we're going to have either Renner versus Bourne, or they're going to team up by the end of it, and then we're going to tease another movie. And the fact that they didn't do that, I kind of was a little bit of a bitch about it. I was like, nah.
Another
super chat. All right, Marshall Boy. Since AMC is fighting with Universal, what if Universal dropped Fast 9 on its original release date on VOD? Ultimate middle finger. They would never do that. That would be an ultimate middle finger for sure. But I don't know. We could talk about this because this is an interesting topic. So with this whole AMC, now AMC and Regal fighting Universal, I honestly don't think it's going to go full through. I think they're going to come up with some kind of an agreement, and they're going to, Universal's already started to backtrack what they said. I don't think big budget blockbusters can survive on VOD. Yes, they say they're making a decent amount of money on Trolls, but when you have a franchise like Fast 9, where the last 2 have topped $1 billion, I don't see a world where they're going to top $1 billion on VOD. I don't even think they would top 700 million on VOD in their best chances. So AMC or the theaters need the movie studios as much as the studios need the theaters in certain rights. So no, you might get smaller films or lower budget films maybe that they don't have as much to lose. Like we can debate Halloween Kills, where they've made it for, what do you think that film costs? $20 million maybe? If that. They can throw caution to the wind and throw that on VOD and make a nice little profit off of it. Maybe not as much as it would be in theaters. They're not going to do it with a movie that they put so much money into it like Fast 9. What's your thoughts, CP?
You can go back. I've said this a couple of times over on my channel. Halloween is coming out in October. Whether the theaters are open or whether they're not, Halloween's coming out on VOD day and date. And I think we're gonna find something out this year. It really depends on how long theaters stay closed, because theaters are just the case. The movies are the product, and you're trying to argue without. You're trying to argue with the case and not the actual item. So theaters are gonna have to give up something here, because Universal and Warner Brothers have been fighting about this for years, because Disney essentially is a monopoly, and Warner and Universal have been getting pissed because Disney releases something, or something that Disney owns releases something once a month, and they're huge and ginormous, and they're chewing up all these screens because Disney has it a certain way where, all right, AMC will give you Avengers, but you have to put it on 5 screens. And so Universal and Warner has been like, can we at least get out of this agreement where we have to stay in theaters for so many days because we're losing money. We're not making money. At least let us get out early so we can go, try VOD. So I think more than anything, that whatever they were asking for 2 years ago is definitely going to happen. But at this point, theaters are going to have to give something up. And I don't know if I were the studios, and the studios have the power right now, believe it or not. I go after the concession money. Say, all right, well, you put nothing into the films, and you take 10%. We don't put anything into the food. We'll take 10%. I think it's going to get messy. I think it's going to get messy, and I think watch Warner Brothers. That they're the ones to watch, because that Tenet tape has not been moved. So the story isn't over yet. Watch Show Business every Monday night on my channel.
Brian, thoughts?
Well, first of all, the whole idea that this, the theaters aren't putting anything in, and they're taking their 10%. They're the ones maintaining the equipment that is necessary to show these films. Projectors, 3D technology, all that kind of stuff. So.
But even more argument for Universal to say, listen, don't worry about it. You guys can be a concessions house. Don't worry about the expensive bulb and the projector. We're just go straight to the customer on this one. I'm telling you, they don't have the power in this instance.
Do you not think that
the theater chains?
I know that the studios, it's their product, so they kind of hold the dice to a degree. But do you not think that the theaters have some dice of their own when they say, okay, if you abandon us and you go straight to VOD, that's fine. But you made $1 billion with us, you're going to make $500 million there. You know what I mean? And they get to keep more of it maybe with VOD, but I don't know. I feel like the theaters have more of a bargaining chip than they're giving credit for a little bit.
And the theaters hate Netflix too. I think we could see some weird tag ups where Universal and Netflix say, you know what? Yeah,
the thing is, you've got there are other issues. So if Universal says, okay, screw the theaters, and the theaters all back out of putting Fast and Furious and all that on, what you're doing there as well is you're also cutting any other movies that you have on your books out of the Oscar race, because if you don't get a showing in theaters, you're not eligible for Oscars. And if you're not eligible for Oscars, bang goes all that lovely publicity and golden kudos that all these studios love at the end of the year, that most of them thrive on it in order to get movies watched a second time and stuff. But
not every theater company is under NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, and that's who is behind this stink. Mom and pop theaters will probably happily screen something like that, so that may not be an issue. It's just like these I'm telling you, Netflix has something.
But then that doesn't make sense, because they won't. You're not going to put the kind of money that is necessary into. Well, I suppose you wouldn't anyway, would you? If it's just there for us. What I'm saying is, you wouldn't market a film for the cinema if you're only going to get it into a few pesky little screens.
Yeah.
But then if you literally just get it in there for the sake of being Oscar contender, then
I don't think much changes. I mean, 1917 maybe is something that you can argue that about. It's a bizarre time. It's really strange. And you know, if you think about what's coming up, there's nothing coming up. Like there's too much time. There's too much time, and I want stats. We only have stats on what is it? Trolls World Tour that it made like.
You got Scoob coming out next week.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think I don't know how the law stands currently. I know that obviously in the 50s and whatnot, they had to instigate law where a company couldn't own all three of the stages of filmmaking. So if you produce and distribute a film, then you can't exhibit it. You know, you can't produce, distribute, and exhibit a film.
Right.
And I think we're at a point now where actually that kind of needs almost to go back on itself and go back to a point where, look, if a company wants to do their own film, let them. You know, if they want to produce, distribute, and exhibit their own films, fine, let them. I mean, like that seems to me the only way out of it.
Or something weird's going to happen where they slap Disney on the hand. Like, Disney, listen, you cannot, you do not have control over your releases. You get how many screens you get.
Yeah.
Things are going to change, that's for sure. To how degree they're going to change, we'll find out, but changes are coming. We had one more super chat from Francisco. Thank you so much. Hey, Cody, what movie do you and Brian disagree on the most? You guys are the best. Brian, what movie do we disagree on the most?
Oh, man. There's been a few, but I can't remember them.
Texas Chainsaw remakes up there.
Texas Chainsaw remakes pretty high. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yeah. Alien 3 we disagree on because I think you're pretty high on that one and I despise it.
I don't know. I don't like theatrical. You've not seen the assembly cut, have you?
I've seen both.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah, maybe. I'm more. I'm definitely more forgiving of it than you. Certainly than you are, because you hate it. But I think probably TCM is the big one because
that's one of them. That's one of them for sure. Yeah,
Brian and I have this. There has been a few.
Yeah, Brian and I have this funny little relationship where we either are dead on, where we're like, man, you took the words out of my mouth, or we are on opposite ends of the universe. So yeah, we've had a couple. How
are you on Terrifier?
Middle of the road on it.
Right. Yeah, because I despise that film.
Yeah. Terrifier 2 coming soon to 31 on 31. 31 is 30 is. All right, so
it did Texas Chainsaw Massacre all over again.
Yeah, exactly. I think Rambo. Now, Rambo's one where I've had an interesting little journey with because I halfway grew up watching First Blood. I say grew up with, but I was probably like an early teenager when I first saw it. I've always loved First Blood. And I remember after I saw First Blood, a couple of years later, I rewatched it and I was like, man, this movie's great. And I watched 2 and 3 and I did not like 2 and 3 when I first watched it. And I was only like 18 when I watched them. I think it was after the 4th one came out. The 4th one came out. I thought it was badass. Rewatched First Blood. And then I watched 2 and 3 to kind of fill in the gap. And I was like, huh? And 2, oddly enough, seems to be the fan favorite. That seems to be the one that everybody goes to. Whenever I did my ranking on them, that was like, whenever I put that at the bottom, they were like, what the fuck is this? And then I enjoyed Last Blood quite a bit. But like, where do you guys stand on the Rambo movies? Did you watch them in succession in theaters? Did you grow up with them? Is this something you had to kind of watch later on in life? And am I crazy for not being the biggest fan of 2 and 3? Mostly 2. I actually like 3 more than 2.
I haven't seen the last one yet, but Cody, I literally mirror everything you just said. Right down to 2 being my least favorite.
Same.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're all 3 on a crazy island then, because I swear, like, it seemed like 2, even before I joined YouTube, was the one that everybody always attached themselves to, because that was the big one in the 80s, I guess, where, Rambo became this action star. And that's part of the reason why I didn't really enjoy the movie much. Because if you watch First Blood's a very much of a psychological thriller with some action in it. And it's a very deep, emotional kind of story and a deep character.
Yeah.
And then you get to 2, and it's very much 80s action hero gloss. It's, you know, the toned muscles and the glistening sweat and, you know, the close-up of the face. I'm coming for you and stuff like that. And it's enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. And if I grew up with it, I might feel different. I'd be like, oh, I love that movie. But watching it when I love the first one and I love the grittiness of the fourth one, those two just feel oddball to me. They kind of feel like cliche action macho shit. And Rambo as a character just kind of feels like he's above that a little bit to me. So I don't know. I'm a little weird with 2 and 3.
First one I saw was the third one as a kid. I think I was about 8, 9, and it just seemed like overblown, just really over the top nonsense. And I never really watched any more of them because I just thought, oh, that's what Rambo is. And then when I was about 18, 19, I just was flipping channels, and then there was a film on, and Sylvester Stallone's in it, and I'm like, he's giving a good performance here. He's acting. And I'm like, what is this? And then like, is this right? No way. This is the first Rambo film, and it was just totally against what I knew Rambo to be, because I've seen Rambo 3. To me, that's what Rambo was. So instead, I got this weird little kind of dark thriller that's very insular, you know, looks inside this character. So yeah, I mean, and then I like you, I decided, right, I'll watch the others. And the second one, first time I watched it, to be honest, I turned it off after 20 minutes because I just thought, what is it? Yeah. It felt like they'd gotten onto this character. It was a runaway success. And so they just thought, right, we've got to turn this guy into an all-out action hero because that's the only way we're going to make any more money from it.
It's hard living with somebody who's under the age of 30 and didn't experience, you know, it's hard to explain movies from the 80s because I watched Rambo 2 recently for this purpose. And my wife came in with tea in hand and just laughing her ass off at parts that have there's no intention for you to be laughing. And I'm like, I can't watch action around you. You're really pissing me off.
Oh, yeah. She still has that little stink with Die Hard, doesn't she?
Yeah, dude. Dark Knight Rises, when Bane, whenever he speaks, she laughs. I'm like...
Now she's got me and Brian on her ass. You said what?
She just laughs like it's a comedy. I'm like, get out. Just get out.
You're ruining it.
CP, I know you probably don't want to go through another divorce, but I'm afraid.
If you need me to sign an affidavit, just saying. But yeah, I don't know. I think you'll enjoy Last Blood, CP. It's kind of along the lines of 4 with the violence. It tries to, yeah. I mean, 5. A lot of people were down on it. I would say rewatch it with the extended cut. Not saying that it's a totally different movie. There's things that no cut of that film is going to change for you. But it's on Amazon Prime, yeah, and I think it's free to watch on Amazon Prime. But you'll have one of them that's like 90 minutes hard, and then you have one of them that's like an hour and 41 minutes. Okay. And it's much more of a Rambo feeling film by that. But at the last 20 minutes or so, man, like I rewatched it at home and I was like, fuck, I don't remember it being this damn violent and gory. So it's got one of those finales that action fans are just sitting there like, whoa. So yeah, so the Rambo was one that I've had an interesting relationship with. I anticipate all of us then look out for those comments when we do our videos, because Rambo Part 2's got some fans.
We might have some identical hatred.
Yeah, this is gonna be hard. Like we've talked about it off air, guys, but like usually when we do these 31 on 31s, like we all know what our favorites are when we walk into it. Like I knew Brian was gonna be high on Psycho. I knew CP was gonna be high on Scream last year. Everybody knew I was gonna be high on Chucky. Now, when you get into these films, there's like maybe 2 maybe 3 that we agree, like, yep, that's definitely at the bottom. The rest of them, you're like, fuck, these are 25 awesome movies. How do I even rank them? Like, even I'm trying to like do a little rough draft ranking, and I get to the top 10, and I'm like, shit. I think this one's better. No, I don't know. It's going to be rough. What about I don't know. We talked about it before. So Bad Boys. Apparently, Brian's not too keen on Bad Boys. Is it just in comparison to these other films, or is it just in general?
I like Bad Boys. I think they're solid action films. But
Okay.
when you're putting them into the same sandbox as Lethal Weapon
Okay.
and Die Hard and Mission Impossible, then I don't think they're in the same league.
Well,
That's mostly because of the writing, to be honest.
I hear you. I can appreciate that, because that makes more sense. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure if it's like, nah, those films are turds, or if it's like, nah, I mean, yeah. I've always loved Bad Boys. I remember I've seen all 3 of them in theaters. I've seen the first one with my dad. I've seen the second one with my dad. And then the third one just this past January. I watched it once by myself because he had a scheduling thing going on. And then I took him to the theater a week later to watch it with him. So that's one of those franchises that just I enjoy because of the viewing experiences. But I just love the chemistry between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. I just think that even the first one, the first one, if you look into it, it basically had no script. They were like, we're doing a buddy cop movie.
Really?
Yeah, they tell. But even the lines is what I'm saying. Even the dialogue of the film, they didn't have hardly any of that written. Most of the first film is just ad-libbed by those two. And for me, I'm a big fan of it. I think it's pretty awesome how much their chemistry just kind of came out naturally. And even scenes like when, give me some Skittles and some Bubblicious, like stuff like that just kind of came out. But I was of the opinion where I was genuinely shocked that I think that the third one might be the best. I don't know if I'm alone in that. And I love the first 2. I think might be alone in that. I hear crickets.
I think I saw a tumbleweed just blown past that.
Like, oh, hey, let's bring that comment back.
So rank them?
I don't want to rank them. I thought that the third one had the most story, the most like emotional ties with the characters, like things like arcs that they had to go through. It felt like they took a little bit more time with the script. The second one is basically all action sequences. I think we can agree on that. As much as I might love it, it's just a bunch of really crazy, over the top Michael Bay stuff. And the first one, I could see. I mean, it's not a ton of story, but it's a lot of character for those two. But the third one just kind of felt like they actually took the time and were like, we need to tell a story this time. Let's have this thing going on where there's this revenge plot that Mike gets tied into, and we take him out in the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then all of a sudden now it's like the stakes have raised, and then the reveals later on in the film I thought were pretty interesting. It didn't feel like they were jumping the shark with them. So I would go back and forth between the third one and the one that is right below it, but I was surprised at how good that movie was with the development hell that it went through and the changing of directors and throwing it in January. I expected it to suck, and then I watched it and I was like, damn, that was pretty awesome.
It felt a bit Fast and Furious to me with the...
It definitely took a little bit, yep.
Yeah, because they're building that kind of soap opera element into it. Like the villain in the movie, I wouldn't be surprised if in Bad Boys 4 he becomes part of the team.
Well, I think they teased that somewhat, and that was the one piece, when I did my review, that was the one piece where I was like, that's a little Fast and Furious for me. Realistically, that would never happen. So the Bad Boys, for as over the top as it gets, story-wise, it stays pretty grounded. So that to me was a little Fast and Furious. I agree.
Bad Boys 3 is not my number one. I'll say that's what I will say.
Bad Boys 2 is.
That is correct.
I know my boy. Now, speaking of buddy cop films, Lethal Weapon is one that I actually watched in a very, very weird order. Lethal Weapon 4 was the first one I ever saw when I grew up. I don't remember. I think I went to the theater to see it. And what year did that come out? Lethal Weapon 4. Do you remember?
In 98. 98.
98. Okay, so I was 8 years old. So I went to go see that and I enjoyed it. And then I think I watched them in reverse, actually. I think I watched 3 sometime later on. And then Joe Pesci was thrown in, and I was like, this guy is just randomly in here. Even though he's in 4, it's just like, I didn't know the origin of him. And then I get to 2, and I'm like, oh, it's the first one. And then I watched 1 later on. So I've had a very weird little journey with Lethal Weapon. But Mother Mayhem. Here we go. We got to address this.
I'd be up for that,
actually. So what, we got the Before trilogy. We've got all the holiday movies like New
Twilight.
Year's Eve and Twilight. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can get to 31,
we might throw that out.
Yeah.
On Valentine's Day.
Big announcement, bitches, and then just have like this elevator music with the different ones.
Oh yeah, or do 14 on 14 or something on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That the Before trilogy, I'd have fun watching that again.
I have not seen those. I have not seen those, and I hear that they're all really good.
Yeah, they're realistic. It's kind of
like Marriage Story realistic.
I draw the line on 50 Shades, Lindsay. There's no way you're getting me to watch that crap.
No, not like Marriage Story.
I don't want to watch those either.
It's Linklater. I don't know how you feel about Linklater.
I love some of his films, and I've really not liked some of them. I love Dazed and Confused and School of Rock. Did not like Boyhood, although I appreciate what went into it. Did not like Everybody Wants Some.
Watch Before Sunset or Midnight. Watch the first one, and then figure it out from there.
Exactly. So what are your guys' journey with Lethal Weapon? Because I actually think the third one would be my bottom of those 4, in my opinion. Not by a long shot, but the third one is the one that I would like the least out of the 4. But the other 3, I think, are pretty damn close to each other as far as ranking for me.
I think. I mean, I saw them in order. I saw the first one when I was about 9 years old, and it was one of the first kind of action movies that I saw. There's a bunch of action movies that I saw at a very early age, like Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, Predator, Terminator, and they kind of formed my idea of what an action movie was. And I think Lethal Weapon really was the first time that I saw a buddy cop movie. I mean, I know Lethal Weapon didn't invent the buddy cop movie. We had like 48 Hours before that, and French Connection and things like that. So, but it really crystallized what a buddy cop movie was and is, and kind of became the blueprint for everything that came before, including Bad Boys to some extent. But I just
we're open to it. Oh, get us 31.
But I just so I watched them in order. Although I think
God, I have to have Brian's answer on this immediately.
What's this? What? Go on.
What if Marriage Story was made by Rob Zombie? Super chat.
So I think I saw Lethal Weapon 3 in cinemas, and I saw the fourth one, which I did think was pretty badass. But yeah, it's I think it's one of the better action franchises out there, and because it kept the same filmmakers throughout, same director.
Yeah, Richard Donner.
A lot of the production crew. Like on the fourth film, in the credits, you see all the production crew photos, and it's just, they all made those films together over the course of the year. So they kept that flavor, I think, and that But I'd say out of all the franchises we've got in this 31 and 31, Lethal Weapon is the one that keeps the flavor of the first film throughout for the most part.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
To all the others.
Same score, and everything. Pretty much everything creatively is pretty consistent throughout all 4.
I have that same thought, but in a negative light. They all feel dated with that saxophone. Yeah, like it's like, oh, this happened in the 80s because there's just sax on the scores. Like you just by certain things that these movies happened in the late 80s and early 90s. And then part 4 kind of is out of place with those cliches. But I enjoy them. I enjoy them more as more comedy. Like action, I feel like there's less to it. I'm not throwing in Lethal Weapon if I want to watch an action movie. If I want to have a comedy with a little punch.
It's kind of like kind of like the first Bad Boys. It's kind of leaning more so on the chemistry of the two leads.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's weird. I'm not the biggest fan of Bad Boys, the first one. So just my personal taste. If it's going to be an action movie, I want a little punch, a little extra something to it. Yeah. Well, Die Hard is just like everything about Die Hard is a little over the top, a little silly.
Just silly enough,
Yeah.
except for maybe the fourth one. The fourth one pushes it a little too far, but it's still fun as hell. But yeah, it's just over top enough to where they can kind of poke fun of it inside of the movie.
Yeah.
Like it's a big running joke in the second one where he's like, "Fuck this shit again."
Yeah.
So it's.
I mean, if you think about it, Speed is a copycat of Die Hard.
That I love.
You're right, and you just get the premise. All right, bomb on bus must stay over 50. That's stupid.
I'm actually one of the very few people, I guess, maybe not, I don't know, who does. Bear in mind that Die Hard is a classic 5-star film to me. I actually prefer Speed.
Okay.
So anyway, guys, thank you for joining us for this broadcast, and we might be having another big announcement here soon as far as the roster. And I love Speed. The only part of that movie that I absolutely despise is where the bus jumps the gap, because the way that it's filmed, when they show the thing, it's like they gotta fucking no, and then you see the jump and the bus like lifts up out of the air before it even touches the end of the thing. It's so over the top that you forgive it, but that's the one piece of the movie where I'm like, fuck you. No. Everything else I love about it. I love Keanu Reeves in that role. I think Keanu Reeves is one of those guys that deserves to be mentioned alongside like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, and Willis is like an action guy. Tom Cruise. And he doesn't get enough love. Oh, here we got one. Now this I have never seen, so I'm going to give this to you guys. Thoughts on Speed 2?
Bloody terrible. Whoever came up with the idea of sticking the events
Jason Patrick
of what should be an action franchise built around speed on a cruise ship, I will never know, because they're like about as fast as.
I may not have finished it. Because I
remember I watched like maybe the first 15 minutes and they just explain away Keanu Reeves in the opening 5 seconds, and I was like, no.
Well, the thing the script was written for Keanu Reeves, and then when he saw the script,
he read it, he
said no chance. So they literally just do a little bit of bollocks at the beginning, because if you look at it, it's the same character. It's a cop. It was Keanu's character at the start, and then they go on a cruise for like a honeymoon kind of thing, and they just slightly rejigged it. But the script was a pile of crap, and Keanu Reeves knew it. So all respect to the guy for seeing that and dodging that bullet. But yeah, I mean, and I'm with you. I think Keanu Reeves definitely needs to be held in the same kind of regard when it comes to action stars, because he's reinvented himself so many times. Point Break was absolutely brilliant, and he's still in kind of surfer dude mode at that point, kind of Bill and Ted-esque vibe about him, and then he goes from that to Speed, and then he does complete reinvention with The Matrix, and going into sci-fi and all that, and now he's done it again with John Wick, and it's just like, it just seems like as an action star, he's someone you just should never underestimate, because
just as soon as you start to forget about Keanu Reeves, he gives you a reason to remember him.
Gives another franchise definitely.
Now, how are you guys? We talked about it briefly. How are you guys on Bourne? Was this like when Bourne came out? That was kind of like the John Wick of its time, where it kind of kicked action movies in the ass, and all of a sudden everybody had to be like Bourne. Were you high on Bourne when it first came out? Is it something you had to watch later on? Were you kind of lukewarm on some of them? Have they not aged well for you? What's your thoughts? We'll start with Brian.
The first one I saw was Supremacy, and that's because a friend of mine was very big on Identity, and I hadn't seen it at that point, but I went to see Supremacy with him, and I was hooked. I really loved it. Thought it was a great action film, quite refreshing, because it did seem different to a lot of the action films that were around at the time. So I went back home and instantly tracked down Bourne Identity, shoved that in, watched it, loved it, and yeah, loved the franchise from that point on, just from those two films. And I've looked forward to every film that's come out in it ever since. I do think there's a bit of repetition. Why is it every time I'm bloody talking, that moron sat up in the top corner giggling away like a bloody school child? What are you laughing at?
It's not my fault. Lindsay typed Lake House with a crying emoji in the friggin' chat. And I'm thinking about Lake House, and I'm like, yeah, it's sad.
I'm sat here thinking, am I saying something completely ridiculous? Because every time I'm talking, this idiot's flipping chuckling away in the corner.
Yeah.
Control yourself. Yeah, so I really like it, but I think it's one of those franchises where repetitiveness has kind of really set in with it. You're going to get your big fight scene, you're going to get your big car chase scene, and in between all that, a lot of running about and espionage and people on phones and people shouting at a room full of people with computers saying, "We got to find Bourne now, chase him down, pull that up there," and you're just like, yeah. So, but yeah, I think repetitiveness kind of set in by the third one, to be honest. But a lot of people seem to act as if it only did from the fifth one. And
I don't think that, in my opinion, because I really love Ultimatum. Supremacy is the one that I've never been as high on as far as the original three. I know I'm in the minority with that. Maybe that'll change when I rewatch them. But I really love Ultimatum. For me, those three felt very cohesive as a trilogy, and it felt like it wrapped everything up. When you get to the fifth one, this is after years of both Matt Damon and Greengrass saying, nope, no more. We got no more stories to tell with this guy. I know it would make money. I know you guys would show up, but we're not doing it. We're not compromising the story. And then they do just that. You know what I mean? They finally come back. They're like, okay, the paycheck's big enough. And then they do literally what you just said. They're like, okay, what is 10 things that a Bourne film has to have? We're going to do this in the least effective way in all four of the Matt Damon films and throw it together and see if it works. And for me, it did not. Every beat in that movie you've seen in other films in the franchise done better. So if people are saying that, I think they're just not articulating it well enough. I think by the fifth one, they just relied on the cliches of the franchise, and they relied on the Bourne-isms instead of saying, why is he back? Can we do something different with it? And that's part of the reason why, even though a lot of people aren't really fans of the Bourne legacy, to me, when you have this guy that can match Bourne as far as his training and the tragedy of his story, either going against him or teaming up with him for something bigger, to me, that gives enough new life to it to where you can have some of the cliches and it's still going to feel cool because now there's two of them, but they just didn't bother with it because, it didn't make enough money. And it's like, if you get them together, it would make money. Yeah. That's me anyway. I don't know. I might be on an island with that with Brian. CP.
So I watched the first two before I went to film school, and film school ruined a bunch of things for me. And I thought the first two were incredible. And then I learned about camera placement and things like that. And I learned that I fucking can't stand shaky cam. And well, do I need to tell you about Bourne and shaky cam?
Just the green grass ones.
Yeah.
The first one doesn't have it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Green grass does shaky cam to the point where he's pointing at shit and the action is like in the corner.
Yeah.
and the rest of it is dead space.
There's literally a shot in Ultimatum, and it's where he goes to see the reporter in the diner at the beginning. And literally, it's like the shot that you normally have, like where it's just behind someone's head and you can see the other person they're talking to. You usually have the head at least, there's a halfway mark on the screen. That head should not be coming over. It takes up 2/3 of the screen. There's literally 2/3 of the screen, and then the last third is the person that they're talking to. So you're literally seeing just the back of someone's head.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's designed to make it look like you're peering in on something that's very secretive, and but it's just it gets a bit much.
You could shoot it from but like you can get the same effect by shooting from far away.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, going back a second time around, I don't necessarily like watching them if I could avoid it. If I could avoid any movie that has shaky cam, and I'd like to avoid it. But they are good. I watched every last one of them. I was a little frustrated that they were supposed to go in a new direction with Jeremy Renner, and then that stopped. And like
dime.
Yeah, and then like you said, they just brought Damon back, and just like, what? Isn't that the one that was Vegas, right? Where he has a tank and like a Hummer in Vegas or some shit.
Yeah, that's the 5th one.
Yeah, that one's a little. I don't know. I haven't rewatched the rest of Bourne yet, in case you can't tell.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen them. It's going to be an interesting rewatch. I'll say that, because a lot of the things that was so, I won't say revolutionary, but like that made its mark with the Bourne franchise has kind of been topped many times since then. So I'm curious how it's going to hold up for me.
By Bond, I mean, like, Bond was very much influenced by what Bourne was doing. So, Casino Royale takes a lot of ticks. Even uses the same fight choreographer and stuff on if not Casino Royale, at least Quantum of Solace. But by the time you get to Skyfall, that franchise is doing stuff that, quite frankly, I take over Bourne. I love Bourne. I think it's great, but
I'd actually prefer Bond after Casino Royale over Bourne, all of Bourne.
Yeah, me too.
I need to rewatch Quantum of Solace. That's the only one of the new Bonds that I really have no memory of. I've only seen it once, but I love Casino Royale. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love Skyfall. Wasn't too high on Spectre, but then again, it was one of those movies I had to watch in pieces, and that never really bodes well. So that would be interesting on a rewatch.
First 2/3 of Spectre are like 5-star Bond for me. It's that last act that kind of cripples it a bit. Once we get to Blofeld, it kind of goes downhill a bit. But everything up to and including the train fight sequence, I was like, this is on a par with Skyfall. Like I say, just loses it. And Quantum of Solace, I love it. I've always loved it, and I don't get the hate for it. I really don't.
Yeah. Sorry if something's going on in the chat, Lindsay. I just saw it, so I missed whatever happened. Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
What am I missing now? So we've got. Are we just up to Mission Impossible now? Is that the last one we haven't really talked extensively about? I think so. John Wick. We haven't really talked about John Wick. We'll end with Mission Impossible because that's going to be probably the lengthiest one. Did you guys jump right into John Wick with all the hype and everything, or did it take you a while?
We didn't. I heard the hype because we didn't get John Wick over here until about 7 months after you got it. So by the time we were able to watch it, I just heard nothing but best action film in the last 10 years, redefines the action genre and this, that, and the other. And I watched the first one, and I was just like, all right, that was okay. And then I went to watch the second one, and I went into that with no expectations just because how let down I'd been the first one. And I absolutely loved it. I was just the action set pieces in that. I was just like, man alive, this is like another level. And I was like, was I wrong about the first one? So I went back and I watched the first one, and I was indeed wrong about the first one. The first one's pretty badass.
Somebody mark the time code.
Mark the time code.
Brian said he was wrong.
I've admitted many times that I've been wrong. I know. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. It just doesn't happen that often. So I got. I was wrong about the first John Wick. It was pretty badass. I just assume I was in the wrong mood first time I watched it, which can happen. I loved them and was really looking forward to the third one. But like Cody, I feel like again that third act is a bit messy. Yeah. Mostly because they want you to come back for more. And the thing is, you don't need to set up stuff for a future film in order to get us to come back for more. Because when you're making some of the best damn action movies that are out there, we're going to come back for more. And in fact, we'll be more likely to do so if it is a self-contained story, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't get into specifics, but yeah, once like double and triple crosses started coming in at the very end of 3, I was confused. I didn't know if this was a ruse or if this was genuine double crosses, and then the whole falling off of a 40-story building or whatever the hell it was and living just fine. That's where I'm like, you're starting to push it. So yeah, I need to rewatch 3, but I did have some problems with that one. I loved the second one. And I really enjoy the first one too. Like the first one's really high, but when the second one came out, the kind of expanding of the lore, as well as topping all of the action, I ate that fucking movie up. I love the way it ends where they're like, hey man, it's the rules. And he's like, fuck that. Boom. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. CP, your thoughts on John Wick?
Yeah. John, the first one was what, 2016? There's been one a year, right? Close to that, 15, 16?
Something like that. I'll look it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the first one, I'm kind of with Brian. I think I was already on YouTube by then. Actually,
2014.
All right, I was not on YouTube by then. So, I thought it was okay. I think I had watched it when it came to home media, and thought, all right. And much like Brian, the second one came and was pretty damn incredible. And I was like, all right, well, maybe the first one, there is something to it, but I didn't rewatch it again. This was after 2.
CP refuses to be wrong.
Well,
like, no, I changed my mind on that one.
Yeah, I was in Denmark, so my life situation was a little funky when that one came out. So fast forward to when 3 came out, watched that the day it came out in theaters last year. And you know, it wasn't John Wick good, but it was really, really good. Mm-hmm. So I went back and watched the first one, and it was like, oh, okay, so there's such a thing as John Wick good, and the first one is, and mm-hmm. Perhaps the second one is my favorite by a very far long shot.
Yeah, it definitely is for me. Yeah, I really enjoy them. I think you can't say anything that hasn't already been said about the action choreography and everything. That stuff is just like next level. Like it's kind of become the new standard, like Bourne was when it came out. It's like, oh, if you're not doing this shit, you ain't got nothing.
And it looks gorgeous too.
Yeah, a lot of great cinematography. I think that it's also one of those roles that it fits Keanu Reeves' strengths. There's a big long-running joke that he's the best worst actor of all time. I don't think he's quite that bad. I think that there's times that he can be, but this is a role that doesn't require a ton from him aside from just looking badass, doing all of the fight stunts and everything that he's been awesome at ever since The Matrix. A couple really badass lines. I love the line in the first one where he's yelling at the dude and he's like, I'm thinking I'm back so you can die with your son or you can hand him over. Stuff like that. It's great. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it. You call me names in my boys chat, try again. Never mind. Lindsay's got it. I was like, uh-oh, what's going on? So yeah, I'm a big fan of them. I just hope that they stick the landing a little bit better in the next movie, because I felt like they were starting to they were pushing my threshold of what I was willing to accept in the third one, despite having some kick-ass action.
Yeah, they were from a plotting standpoint, but I do have to say, I am, like, with each of them, I've been really blown away by the creativity.
Yes,
they keep having with fight scenes. Like, just when I think that you're not going to be able to give me anything now that I've not seen,
right?
Then they bring those bleeding dogs in, and I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, when them dogs are like proper attacking people and it's just
and one shot for some of that stuff. You're like, wait,
yeah.
How long did it take you to choreograph this?
Yeah.
Where's the cut? Where's the cut? I don't see a cut. I don't think they cut.
And it's like with John Wick, clearly story is definitely secondary. Their stories that you write on the back of a postage stamp. I do want the plotting to be consistent, to work. But yeah, I think certainly those action set pieces, if they can keep delivering stuff that we feel we've not seen before in the action set piece department, then make as many as you want, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm with you on that one. So that brings us to Mission Impossible, which is the last franchise that we kind of gonna have to discuss our journey with. And this one's gonna be funny because Mission Impossible, I actually only had interest in watching the first one. I only had interest in watching because I played the N64 game. And I played it so much and did the level where you go down and the little zip line and everything. And I was like, I got to watch the movie. And my dad finally rented it for me one day, probably because I got good grades or something. I remember he surprised me with it. And I really enjoyed the movie because of the soundtrack, because back then that was like the shit. The dun, 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 dun. So that and the video game, because you basically play missions inside of the video game. It's seen straight out of the movie. So it's kind of like you're connecting the dots as a kid. And I was also talking to Brian about this off screen a couple of days ago, but Mission Impossible 2, I absolutely loved when it first came out. Like, that was just the right age. I was part of that, when did Mission Impossible 2 come out? Was that like 2000? Yeah. So I was 10 years old. So like the Metallica song that came out with it, like everything about it, the hyped up action, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the best Mission Impossible ever. To the point that when I first saw 3, because I was kind of weird on Tom Cruise, I was still like, oh, this is 2's still the best. Fast forward to today, you try to rewatch Mission Impossible 2, and you're just like, well, why is everything in fucking slow-mo? They're just staring at each other. And like, there's so many points in that movie where you're like, God damn. I still enjoy it. I still don't think that it's absolute trash, but it's amazing what has aged. And then my experience with 3, like I said, I was like, it's pretty good. And then now I watch it and I'm like, man, 3 on is just like fucking banging. Ghost Protocol at the moment is the one that I think I like the most, but I still need to rewatch. I have not rewatched Fallout since theaters. I have not rewatched Rogue Nation since the first time that I saw it. And 3 jumped up quite a bit. So I don't know. It's a really tight race with these now, but that's kind of my experience with Mission Impossible. It all started because of N64.
It's going to be pretty heavy at the top of the list for me.
It's going to be like Brian's bottom 10 on any other thing.
Yeah. Well, so the first one is, you isolate that, and it's got a couple of neat scenes. For the most part, it's much more slower and I don't want to say plotting, but the pacing of the movies are different. The first Mission Impossible is just very different than anything we've seen since. And like you said, the second one was if Lethal Weapon is the late 80s in a jar, Mission Impossible 2 is the late 90s.
That's post-Matrix action movies in a jar.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's like, oh, we got to flip every time we do anything.
Dubs.
Yeah. I could kick the guy right there, but it's going to be cooler if I front flip and kick him.
Yeah, the cars when they spin and then okay.
I'm gonna run my motorbike into this guy and we're gonna jump off and smack each other. It's gonna be badass.
It's a badass 720 with each other's bodies.
And then we're gonna fall off a fucking cliff and live and fight.
But yeah, then the teaser for 3 came, and the teaser was just PSH, Philip Seymour Hoffman, with his countdown thing.
Mhm.
I was like, that's interesting. It's really interesting, kind of dark seeming for a Mission Impossible movie. And then you get the movie, and it is that, but oh, there's this new version of movie we're getting here. It's not this silly second one we had. It's not the the pace of the first one, but it's got a couple of things going for it. And then I'll compare it to Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is this weird thing where people ask about it, and every now and again I'll get somebody who's like, I went to the second season, it wasn't that good. I'm like, I'll be like, just keep going, just trust me, it gets better.
Who is that person? Because they she's smacked. And it's not Lindsay, because Lindsay hated all of them.
So it after 3, which is very good, it just gets incredible. And,
it focuses a lot more on the team aspect too, because it was very much Tom Cruise movies, the first 2, and kind of with 3, but from 3 onward, they really try to focus on, let's get a great cast of 4 people. Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames,
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg was a great one. Even Jeremy Renner I liked a lot in the 2 that he was. I think he was in 2 of them. But they focus much more on the team aesthetic, with Tom Cruise kind of being the lead versus like the first one where they kill the whole team in the first half hour and it's just him. And the second one, there's kind of a team. You have Ving Rhames there to do Ving Rhames lines, and you have the dude in the helicopter that nobody remembers, but it's just Tom Cruise. But 3 onward, I never watched the series, but the series, I guess, was always about the team, and it focuses much more on that.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil my list, but the rest get pretty good.
Yeah. Rogue Nation actually took me a while to watch for some reason. I don't know why. I missed it in theaters. That's the only one since 2 that I haven't seen in theaters. And I don't remember why. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's the best. It's much better." And the series just keeps getting better. And then it came on Blu-ray. And I remember I bought the Blu-ray, and it still took me like months to watch it. I don't know why. It was one of those weird times where just life takes over, and you just forget about things.
Rogue Nation is the most recent one.
The one previous to Fallout. Previous to Fallout.
Okay.
They first had Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they're pretty badass. Let's see. So, you guys have any more thoughts on these franchises that you want to go through, or you just want to do some Q&A for a little bit? We can do like 15 minutes of Q&A.
In 23 days, we're gonna have a lot to say.
Exactly. So I figured it'd be better if we just talked about our experiences. That way, we're not giving away too much of our ranking. Although we definitely talked a little bit about where some movies are going to lie. But those of you guys that are still watching, give us some questions. It could be related to these franchises. It could not. We'll take some Q&A for the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, or until one of my kids plows through this door. And we'll just shoot the shit for a little while and wrap this thing up. But yeah, be ready. Because on 30, oh boy, here we go. Poor Lindsay. I had a Q&A earlier, and it got up to 260 viewers, and I've never had that many. And I'm talking about 145 of them felt like they were dropping super chats at the same time. So she was having a time trying to get me super chat snapshots. Her and Ashley. No spamming questions, guys. Yes, please. If I don't answer the question, or if we don't address the question right away, type it again in like 10 minutes. Not 18 times in a row. But yeah, Lindsay was she was the Lone Ranger there with the wrench, like, oh my god, trying to sift through all this craziness earlier today. They're all typing. It's just gonna slam all at once.
So real quick, I saw The Lodge, horror movie. I don't know. Everybody's a stepmom and no, not a stepmom to be, dad's girlfriend and the kids stuck in a house together, and if you plan on watching that movie, first of all, it's really good. It's quite good, but not good in a happy way. It's good in a hereditary way. Have something happy on standby when you finish that movie, because it's
sounds like Brian needs to avoid that one. I've been curious about it. I've had a couple people ask me about that one and the platform. So we got this question, which is interesting. So we were talking earlier about how there's plenty that we have to pull from. There's a lot of future ideas we have going on. What about Mad Max and the Equalizer? Very good contenders for another one if we ever do another one with action. And then, of course, Lindsay chimes in with Fast and the Furious. So I think between Fast and the Furious and those other two franchises, that might be 31. But yeah, very good suggestions there. What is your favorite movie of 2020 so far? The Invisible Man, I guess. Not a whole lot to choose from. Invisible Man, Bad Boys.
The Gentleman.
The Gentleman. Yeah, The Gentleman was really good. That was actually a big... That's my most surprising of the year so far, because I was not expecting much from that one. I really enjoyed it.
What if I said Halloween Kills? Would that matter if I said that right now?
Oh, God. Is it really your favorite?
I mean, I haven't seen that much this year.
Let's see here.
What did you say, Brian? I'm sorry, I stepped on you.
I think he nodded his head at Invisible Man.
Yeah, so if I'm going off US release dates, I'd say Invisible Man, but I did also really like Birds of Prey. I know I'm just a DC fanboy.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I enjoyed that one. I had fun with it. Marshall Boy, has there ever been a horror movie you couldn't stand or on the verge? I mean, we've named a couple earlier. Like, I know Brian and CP were really against Terrifier. So that was up there. Movies that I cannot stand. Freddy's Dead, obviously. Everybody's going to pick that one. Seed of Chucky. Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation. Like, all the worst of some of these franchises we've gone over, I certainly couldn't stand. A lot of the January, February horror films that we've gotten over the past 10, 12 years have been pretty rough, with some surprises here and there. Those are usually movies that are either passable at best or I just can't stand them. Yeah. Some of the 80s slashers that I've tried to go back and watch that everybody holds up that I've never seen before, like The Prowler, I watch it and I'm like, what? No. So some of those. This is, I don't know if we can answer this one or not because we're not going to know what's going to be out. What would be the first movie you go to see after the lockdown is done? It depends on when the lockdown is done, I guess, and what stays. Because right now, Tenet until September is the only thing that's holding strong.
I
don't think it's going to move.
I don't know how they're going to do it in June, but I hope.
Oh, it's in June? Oh, yeah, that's going to move. Never mind. I thought it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Never mind.
That's why it's weird.
We'll find out in a week.
They pushed everything, and Tenet's still just sitting there in June. Like, what? Why are you guys not doing okay?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking it might be something like Candyman, something in September.
The thing is, like, if you're the only movie at this point that has that release date, there's no need to move it until that date approaches. If that date arrives and the cinemas still aren't open, then you just say, oh, well, yeah, obviously it's not out because the cinemas are shut. We've just pushed it. But if you keep that release date and just on chance the cinemas happen to open, then you pretty much clean up the market because you're the only film that's going to be playing.
Yeah, but how many people are going to rush to a movie theater?
That was going to be my next.
I'm there. Opening day, I'm there.
He's going to be in there with a Breaking Bad suit. Christopher Nolan, I'm here. That was going to be my next question is, do you think a movie is going to shoot itself in the foot by trying to corner the market during a time when a lot of people aren't going to go to the movies? But I don't know. I guess that's a question we wouldn't have the answer to until somebody did it. Believe in the hype. Out of the franchises you all are doing, what's the most consistent? Probably Mission Impossible, right? Even with the hiccup, it's still pretty consistent as far as the styles. So yeah, I would say that one.
Yeah, and it's just a hiccup. It's not like
or Bourne, but Bourne is like in a negative way.
if you're talking consistency and quality, then I reckon Mission Impossible. If you're talking consistency and style, then I'd say Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's the answer. That's the correct answer. Let's see. Dale, are you trying to annoy? What's going on? Oh, never mind. They're talking about Jason Takes Manhattan. Not interested. Which do you like better, Fright Night or Lost Boys?
As a kid, I'd have said Lost Boys. As an adult, I will say Fright Night. If we're talking the original Fright Night.
I had the brain of a child, so I'm still going to say Lost Boys.
As a kid, I would have said Lost Boys too, and as an adult, I'm going to stick to it. Lost Boys. Lost Boys and John Carpenter's The Thing, I often say, are in competition for my favorite horror of all time. Like, The Lost Boys was the shit when I grew up with it, and it has not lost a drop of that. I still watch it, and I love every minute of it. Fright Night, love the living hell out of it, but it got to me much later in life, so just that nostalgia power puts it over the top for me. Let's see.
Somebody asked.
This is one that's going to be interesting. Do you like the action in Nolan's Batman?
Hell yeah.
It depends if you're talking about the fight scenes.
Well, it depends which Batman you're talking. Because Batman Begins, no. The rest of them, yeah.
I think that the hand-to-hand fighting in all of Nolan's Batmans is pretty shitty, but I don't think it really matters when you're watching it. I don't think it really is something that stands out to you. When you get to Batman v Superman and you see something like that warehouse fight, you're like, where the fuck was that the past 3 movies? Like, that's something where that's the one scene in Batman v Superman where I'm like, that is what I have been wanting for a long-ass time. When you get to, like, you know, The Dark Knight Rises and you have the hand-to-hand fighting between him and Bane, it's like,
yeah,
this is really slow choreographed. Holly just got home. I hear everybody going nuts.
The thing is, there's a bit more to Nolan's action scenes, his fight scenes, because it's not just about two people hitting each other. Like the first fight that Bane and Batman have is actually one of my favorite fight scenes, and it's because it's the dialogue that they exchange between the two of them as well, and the reveal of who
it's a
they
psychological
are as fight. Yeah, there's a lot of psychology in there tied in. So it's not just
I'm with
two
you.
people.
I love that scene.
So you're talking about the one in the dark.
The one after Catwoman lures him and he gets slammed down. It's just him.
Yeah.
You know, we all the uninitiated.
And again, action's not just about fight scenes. You got other stuff like the car chases and things like that.
Lindsay says hi and she loves you.
See, he yell at him. He interrupted you.
I have to, otherwise I'll hear about it for the next fucking week if I don't address this comments. So
Brian, Lindsay's the problem every time.
Yeah, Yeah. It's freaking 1 o'clock where I am, guys.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Just,
Batman. Talk about Batman. That's fun.
Yeah, the other action stuff that's going on there, like Batman Begins has one of my favorite car chases in when he's got the tumbler and he's just tearing over the roofs and like smashing stuff up. It's just pretty badass. What? Hello.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
I was talking to your kid. I was saying, hello, child.
All right, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Anyway. Yeah.
Marshall Boy dropped a $5 super chat. Would you guys rather have dinner with the Sawyers from
Sawyers?
Oh, man. Well, yes.
Sawyers from Texas Chainsaw or Hannibal?
Hannibal. Easily. Definitely Hannibal. Because at least if you're civil to Hannibal, there's a good chance he's going to let you live.
The food's going to be the same either way, though. Right?
I was going to say, in one, you're eating people. In the other, you're dinner. So
but in one, you're probably eating people raw, and in the other one, at least it's been cooked like a gourmet chef would cook it. So,
touche.
There's a steak. No, it tastes delicious, whatever it is.
Okay, no, that's not a question for this stream, dude. I'm sorry. Tony was asking for his question to be answered. Let's see here. Here's one for Brian. Brian, I see you have the deluxe edition of Batman animated series. Do you like the Batman and Beyond, or Batman Beyond? I guess is what he's asking.
I do. Yes. I really like it. We've not had it released over here until recently. It's literally come out fairly recently on Blu-ray, and I'm contemplating getting it, but there's a good friend of mine has actually bought it me on DVD. He bought it me a while back, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get it because there's a whole situation there. So I'm like, do I get it? Do I not? But yeah, I do want it. I do like it. I love that whole, Bruce Timm animated universe. I've got the Superman series as well. You can't quite see it. It's just slightly off there. I got the Superman one. I got the Justice League one. So yeah, I do want Batman Beyond. I love all of those. They're great.
I've only ever seen the Return of the Joker movie with Batman Beyond. I don't know if that's the origin of Batman Beyond or if that's just a movie that came afterwards. But afterwards, yeah. So that's the only one that I've seen. I never actually watched the show. I remember the movie being kind of cool. It's an interesting concept. You hear people bring that up a lot when they're talking about what to do with Batman movies now, with Ben Affleck kind of piecing out and everything, and people bring that up a lot. So it definitely has a huge fan base. CP, did you ever watch it? Any thoughts?
I own one animated Batman movie, and I don't remember which one it is. So,
Mask of the Phantasm?
Might be Dark Knight Returns. Is that it?
Oh, all right. Yeah.
That's like an adaptation of the graphic novel.
Yeah.
I've got. I am planning something with the Batman animated series because I have been watching them. I've kind of taken a break from them again, but I plan on doing a ranking video of every episode of Batman the Animated Series. So
cool.
Eventually.
I used to put those on every night to kind of go to sleep to. That's not a negative on it, but it would just it would make me relax. I would be like, 90s nostalgia, and I would watch it. And sometimes, like I'm a night owl, guys, and there's times where I can be physically exhausted, and it will still take me an hour plus to fall asleep. Those animated series episodes sometimes would put me at ease so much I would fall asleep before one was over, and that's like 20 minutes. So I mean, I love those things. So Tony comes back with a serious question. How do you guys feel about Sam Raimi directing Doctor Strange 2? We'll start with CP.
Brian, I'm not really bothered.
Well, I'll start with this one. Oh, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
I'm fine with him directing Doctor Strange 2. I'm all for it, but that comes with the proviso that the studio actually let it be a Sam Raimi movie, and don't neuter him in some kind of way. Like when he did Spider-Man, he did Spider-Man 2. Even though that is a PG movie, even though it's for families, kids can go and see it, you can tell it's a Sam Raimi movie. Yeah, the Doc Ock attack is something straight out of Evil Dead, just obviously made for a PG audience. So let directors be who they are. Let them put the mark on the film that they're making. I get that you have to have that Disney brand. You have to keep it in line with all the other Disney movies, but let the director bring what they bring when you hire them. That's the reason you hire them, surely. If you just want someone who's going to, a yes man, then fine, go and hire some.
Do you feel like Sam Raimi would take a job to be a yes man?
Well, I wouldn't say that Edgar Wright would, and he took it, and then obviously that all fell apart. But you don't always find out that you've been hired to be a yes man until you're in the thick of it.
Yeah. Well, the thing with that one though, they had Scott Derrickson attached, who did Sinister and a couple other films, and he was attached he did Doctor Strange, the first one as well. But whenever the concept of this started kind of coming out about the multiverse of madness, which is obviously a play on In the Mouth of Madness, so people were speculating, is this going to be more horror-centric, which they've said a couple of times. I don't take that with kid gloves, a Disney horror film. But I have a feeling like Scott Derrickson, because he has that horror roots, was like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to explore this. This is going to be for the fans. And Disney went, whoa, I'm talking like 10% horror here. And then they get rid of, he leaves, creative differences, whatever. And then Sam Raimi comes in. I would think that the situation would be explained to him like, okay, we lost Scott because he wanted to do this. This is what we want from this movie. This is what we're going to hire you for. I don't know. I'm with you 100% though. If you're going to have Sam Raimi, I want Sam Raimi. I don't want, director for hire Sam Raimi. But I don't think Sam Raimi would take the job if that was the case. So unless we find out 3 months from now that he's off the project, I feel like there would have had to have been some kind of a compromise in there.
The thing is, I think a lot happens in boardrooms that, when there's a lot of backslapping going on, a lot of we got to get this guy on. But once they're there on set, you don't know what kind of pressure producers start to put on, and that's when things start to fall apart, relationships start to break, and then people leave. So,
for everything that Marvel has at their arsenal, don't you think Doctor Strange is a bit of an odd pick for Sam Raimi?
It depends how goofy it can be, because if it can get really out there with this multiverse and it's a really weird film, I mean, that's kind of up Sam Raimi's ballpark a little bit.
I recently rewatched Doctor Strange, and it was like, I have fatigue. I'm a little tired of the genre, and that movie feels very non-superhero-ish. It's a nice breath of fresh air. So, and Sam Raimi's the guy who brought us the really good Spider-Man movies. So, I don't know.
I think Doctor Strange, in some respects, has a kind of a similar flavor, or could have a similar flavor if you direct it in the right way to Darkman. I think it would fit in line with,
which I've never seen.
Me either.
So like Sam Raimi made that, and I think, it makes sense to me. But again, only if you let Raimi be Raimi.
Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Okay, here's one. I don't know.
Can I just add as well? Actually, while we're on the subject of the whole Raimi and producers and stuff, don't forget that Raimi got a load of interference when he made Spider-Man 3. He didn't want Venom in that movie. He's experienced that before.
Fair point.
It wasn't the movie he wanted to make. So,
yeah. Right on. It's a good point. Mary Smith asks, did you guys like The Hunt? I know me and CP have seen it. Have you seen The Hunt, Brian?
No, I don't think so. No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, CP, what are your thoughts on The Hunt? Did you enjoy it?
It's great. I think it's great that it takes a shot at both political sides in this country. And it, it's Hunger Games for American morons. I don't know how else to put it. It's nice to see us get made fun of like that. It's a very witty. I mean, don't get attached to certain people. It's fun. It's fun. It's a shame that may get buried even with this VOD thing. I'm hoping people are checking it out whenever it drops in price, because that's a movie that I don't know. It was a breath of fresh air for me, because I don't know.
I was middle of the road on it. I was one of the people that paid $20 to see it at home. So yeah, that didn't really play into why it was middle of the road. But for me, without spoiling too much, there's a lot of people that show up in the beginning of the movie that you're like, oh, that's a surprise, and don't get too attached.
Right.
And for me, some of the people that they got rid of, I was like, later on in the movie, I'm like, that personality would have really helped this movie out. So I almost feel like they blow their wad in the first 30 minutes, because there's a lot of carnage immediately. People are dying left and right. There's gore, there's humor. And then the movie hits this lull for about 30, 40 minutes where you're only following one or two characters. And even though one of the characters is extremely entertaining, and definitely the standout of the movie felt like it was very front loaded to me, to where what I saw in the first 30 minutes was like, oh shit, if this is the movie, this is great. And I totally agree with you on the fact that, the movie had a ton of controversy on it, where people on the left were pissed at it, people on the right were pissed at it, and it went away for a while and they came back. And when you actually watch the movie, like you said, it takes shots at both. It's very, in the middle on everything. It talks about how stupid this side is for doing this and how stupid this side is for doing this. And it is a breath of fresh air because political conversations are almost non-existent nowadays. So I liked all that, but and the end too, the villain reveal slowly throughout the movie was weird for me too, because I was like, is great actress, but is this really the type of actress in this type of movie that you would tease? Like, it was a role that, like, the way that they were teasing the reveal of this character made me think somebody like Sigourney Weaver was playing her, to where it would be this big surprise. And when you see who it is, you're like, okay.
Plus, the thing with Betty Gilpin, the lead actress, you don't really like. She's a bit of a badass, and I just felt like it was never earned. Like, we don't know why she's such a badass. Exactly.
It's very like whenever they first show that she is about the cigarettes, that's like a white trash thing. You know what I mean? That's like, oh, and it's playing into that. Like, oh, only a redneck would know this. So that's funny. That's why she's a badass, because she caught them in this. But like you said, she's got like extensive military training by one point. And you're like, okay. It's that type of movie where you just kind of, okay, I accept it. But yeah, I was middle of the road on it. I would happily rewatch it. But I felt like the movie blew its wad a little bit. Let me see. I saw a good question, especially for Brian. Let me scroll back up. Here we go. If they ever introduce Joker in Reeves' Batman films, who should play him?
It's not a question I can answer until I see what that film looks like, because I don't know what his world looks like. It's just, it's like... You couldn't take Jim Carrey's Riddler and stick it in Nolan's Batman. It wouldn't work. So it's just...
I'd like to see Nolan direct a Jim Carrey Riddler. I'll tell you that much.
It's just like, I mean, I don't mean to disrespect like the person who's asked the question, but it's just those kind of questions to me. I never... We're on the wrong side of the curtain to be able to answer.
Let me spin the question for you then, Brian. Do you think that they would be smart, because this is obviously going to be a reboot of some sort? This is not going to be in the DCEU from what we can tell. It's going to be the origins. I don't know. I don't think that they're trying to say this is the early Ben Affleck Batman. They might, but with the way that they're retooling it and going back, and the Ben Affleck Joker was in his 30s, then if they're going to have a Joker, then it would probably be a different timeline. Do you think that they would be smart to retool the timeline of these movies to potentially put Joaquin Phoenix in there as the Joker at some point? Or do you feel like we're going to get a third DC Joker that's not Leto and is not Joaquin Phoenix?
I would absolutely love to keep Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in. And if that was the way they went, one, it would key us into the style that they're going for, and two, it would have a separate Batman universe that isn't related to the DC universe, which I'm fine with, because they do that in comic books all the time. Don't know why we can't have it in movies. It's fine.
I think they were testing the grounds with that with Joker to see if they could succeed with it, and obviously they did.
Yeah. So I mean, that would be my ideal, because right now Phoenix is the best thing we've had since Ledger, and we're not going to get much better, quite frankly. But it's just, like, again, even Nicholson's Joker, which a lot of people, for a lot of people, Nicholson is the definitive Joker. But you stick him in the Nolan Batman, it don't work. You stick him in Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman, it don't work. So none of us know what Matt Reeves's Batman world looks like yet, and until we see it, I couldn't say, oh, right, okay, now I kind of know what world we're in. I could say, yeah, I can imagine this actor playing some kind of version of the Joker in it. But until we've seen it, I just don't know. Like Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I love Colin Farrell. He's actually one of my favorite actors. You look at him in a film like In Bruges, he's brilliant. But somebody turns around and tells me, oh, Colin Farrell's playing the Penguin. It raises an eyebrow, and it's like, okay, but I trust Matt Reeves. I like the films he's made, and I don't know what his Batman world looks like yet. So he does. He's got a vision for it, and I'm sure once we see it, we'll look at Colin Farrell and go, got it.
And I've seen wildly different versions of Penguin, so that one's an easy leap for me to make. Like the Batman Enemy Within, or the Telltale Batman video game has a very different Penguin, to where it's the Cobblepots and the Waynes have like this, deep-seated hatred of each other, and he's very much a younger guy that ends up losing his eye, and it's very different, very grounded. It's not the comic book Cobblepot Danny DeVito type thing, or even the TV series that we had where it was very, the ham was turned way up. So I could easily make that distinction as just a businessman that has a rivalry. But yeah, I don't know. The Joker, I think they would be smart to not worry about the Joker for a while, if I'm being honest with you. And I love the Joker.
Batman's got such a wealth of villains. Like he's got the best rose gallery in comic books. Stop going back to the same characters. Pull out some of the obscure ones and make them bigger. It's like you get characters that come out like Black Panther. I believe Killmonger was more of a lesser villain in the comic books, but now he's big business. It's like do that. I'd love to see Tallyman, the Reaper, bring them into a film together, and then boom,
Victor Zsasz was one that he was kind of used in Birds of Prey, but Hugo Strange is one that I think would be a really cool psychological movie. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think that they need to worry about Joker for a while. I think they could tease it here and there maybe, but I'm with you. I'd like a couple of movies where they start to explore things. Obviously, we're getting Penguin, we're getting Riddler. They've teased that there's going to be a lot more villains in this, so we'll see. I got a feeling that this is going to be kind of the beginning of a lot of his antagonistic relationships. So I don't think they need to be in any rush. So
I just think everybody has got their own idea of what these characters should be. So if I tell you who I think should play the Joker, that doesn't help you kind of figure out what that really looks like, because in my head I'm casting a particular person because I see them playing it a certain way in a world that I've created in my head. So it's just not a. There's no real value in answering that question. I'm sorry.
Man, you must be fun at parties when it comes to these what if questions, huh? Wow, man, just a what if question.
All right, let's find one more. Let's end with one more question here. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if there's any more at the bottom. Trying to find a nice juicy one we can end on.
I guarantee you, if you ask Brian what his choice for Jason would be in a Kevin Smith Friday the 13th, he has an answer for you, and he'll be glad to tell you. But touch precious Batman, and it's very complicated.
I see it's the meme with the guy at the board with all the little. All right, this is a good one here because I don't think we've ever discussed this. So, Jason Nike, any of you guys looking forward to Avatar 2?
Yes.
Oh. No, CP. Are you not a fan of the first one, or has it just been too long?
I mean, I like Fern Gully.
Oh, give me a break. It's just like...
Here we go. God damn it, CP.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, should I have said Dances with Wolves? Would that have been better?
The reason, right, it's so easy for people to pick out those same couple of films that they always pick out when they want to say that Avatar is crap and has been done before.
I didn't say crap.
It's because there's so few other films where they can pinpoint, oh yes, that's been done a million times before. And yet dozens of movies, most movies that can come out, you can find some kind of variation on it previously that has been done before. Yeah, the story is familiar. It has certain beats that you can find in tons of other movies. That's the same with any movie. It does my head in. Like?
What do you compare Inception to?
My point is,
I'll take that point.
You know fully well what my point is. You can always find an exception to the rule, and you can always throw a Christopher Nolan movie at me and say, of course, I'm going to agree because it's Christopher Nolan. But the average movie that comes out at the box office, you can find somewhere else. you know, the story. Like, how many movies just in the past 2 years have come out where the main character has a military buddy friend who turns out to be the main villain? You think they're the friend, but they end up being the villain. You know, it's
Well,
like,
yeah. I didn't mean to throw sideways shade when I said that. I just don't like the fact that we're supposed to get what, five
more.
Just like
They
that.
said it depends
how
on
is
the
that
box
any
office.
different? How is that any different to the likes of Marvel or something like that? We know we're going to get another 5 Marvel movies and things like that.
Here's how I'll answer the question. I really enjoy Avatar. I'm looking forward to seeing if they can match the quality, which I have absolutely no reason to doubt James Cameron. I think it's been way too long.
Right.
And so I am worried about it because I don't know. The Avatar, for all the records that it broke, did not break the pop culture bubble at all. It came and went.
The 2010s was the first decade we did not have a James Cameron movie.
Yes, and that's the other part of my answer is, am I looking forward to Avatar 2? Yes. Am I looking forward to 4 more Avatar films? Ask me after 2, maybe. As of right now, I think it's a little overkill, but I am a little bit irritated with the Avatar franchise that it has literally stolen what might be the last years of James Cameron away from us.
Yes.
I will just say that Cameron did deliver a sequel to Alien 7 years after the fact that was absolutely brilliant. And then he delivered a sequel to Terminator. What was that, like 8 years after the fact?
I really hope
Terminator and Alien were still very relevant and very pop culture heavy at the time, is my point. Not saying that it's too late, you're not going to make a good movie. It's just that, does anybody really have Avatar posters? Do you ever see the Na'vi walking around on Halloween?
I'd rather watch True Lies than Avatar, to be honest with you.
I just think it's one of those films that a lot of people kind of downplay and spit mud at
because it's successful.
But when that second one opens, everyone's going to be in the seats again. They're all.
Here's a question.
They're all going to watch it.
Avatar 2, does it beat Endgame?
No.
If it's good, if it's better than Avatar, if it reawakens our love for that world, if Cameron does something that is just absolutely mind-blowing, then there's a good chance.
Do you think it was the quality of the first movie that led to that box office, or do you think it was the kind of reinvention of what we expect from a 3D film and the hype behind that and the experience of the theater that got so much to where now you really can't do that?
We count dollars. We don't count tickets. So Avatar was an interesting gimmick where you had to pay extra to watch it in 3D, and I don't know if they have an alternate choice. Were you able to watch it in 2D?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you were.
Okay. Well, there's an interesting gimmick to Avatar. I'm not saying that the reason it made so much money was because it had the 3D thing, but it was the first of its kind movie where it people altered their theaters for this movie. And movies have been successful since that don't need to lean on gimmicks, and I think Avengers was that's a culmination of a decade, that movie.
Yeah,
I'm just sick of hearing the same nonsense of Ferngully in space. It's like Star Wars is Yojimbo in space. It's Kurosawa in space, and it's like it's so what?
I'm not offended that you said that.
Yeah, it's recycled stuff. It's all this stuff that people
all of
love.
it.
It's all recycled stuff. This the stuff that people are almost fanatically religious about, and that they're quite happy to just say, "Oh, Avatar, yeah, Ferngully in space." Yeah, well, look at the franchise you're so beloved. It's all recycled stuff. The only thing I'm interested in is it a good movie?
Yeah.
And for me, Avatar was it was a damn good movie. It was very
really
immersive. I really bought into that world. I really wanted to see other places in that world. And I know that Cameron's planning on going into the oceans on Pandora next time we see it. And that to me just opens up a whole wealth of creativity and places and things they can do and show. So, of course, I'm going to be there, definitely.
All right, we got a super chat really quick, and then there's one more question. I know I said one more, but there's one I really want to get our answer to, and then we'll get out of here. As is Cards, thank you so much. Could the wait for Avatar 2 be proven wrong, like with Zombieland 2, given the time in between? Also, what would be a sequel you'd like to see that may be too little too late? So I guess we'll focus on the second because we kind of answered the first question. We won't know until it comes out. But what is a sequel that is just taken forever to get here that you still want? Dread 2. I'll say that.
Dread 2. I don't know if you are aware, but Carl Urban actually came out a little while ago and said that Alex Garland pretty much directed Dread.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know he wrote the script as well, but according to Urban, the director who's credited was rarely doing anything, and pretty much Garland kind of stepped up.
Not too much of a stretch for me to believe.
Yeah, if there's do we have a time frame? Because there's stuff that you just can't do it now. True Lies would have been one of my picks.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's well past now, isn't it?
In another time, maybe a Back to the Future sequel, not a remake. Just instead of, because people talk about it every now and again, and it's just like, if you're gonna go back.
Well, I'll say just really quickly, I was on that camp of do not touch Back to the Future. There's a couple untouchable movies. Actually, when I was doing my podcast, I did 10 movies you should never remake, and Back to the Future was number one. Sean did a video where he was pitching Back to the Future sequel or Back to the Future remake, and we had discussion beforehand, and he kind of turned my opinion on it a little bit because he was talking about the timeless concept of a kid going back and meeting his parents before they met. And you could do that to where a 2020 kid goes back and visits their parents in the 80s or the early 90s. You try to see flesh out what that is. Not to say that it would be as iconic as the 50s and the 80s, but there's something interesting there that I think actually could lend itself to a remake as long as you have very quality people behind the camera and behind the writing room. So I don't know. Mayor, yeah. But the question, speaking about sequels, too little, too late. Did you guys see that Sylvester Stallone kind of gave hints that the ball is rolling on a possible Demolition Man sequel? He was doing a Q&A on Instagram or something, and somebody asked, are we ever going to get a Demolition Man 2? Probably as a joke. And he's like, you know what? Believe it or not, I think the ball is rolling on that. They're working on it. They're getting it together. And I laughed because there's been a lot of Demolition Man memes here lately with the toilet paper going away and how to use the 3 seashells. Would you guys want at all a Demolition Man sequel? I don't even know if you're a fan of the first one.
If it gets Wesley Snipes work, because Wesley Snipes was incredible in Dolomite Is My Name.
Yeah.
Other than that, yes. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Brian?
Is Stallone just going to go through each of his big hit movies and try and bring Rocky? He brought that back after years of being away.
He'll fight Wesley Snipes' son.
Rambo, and now like he's scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like,
it is weird how some of these 80s and 90s actors are aging, like Nicolas Cage, and he's just straight to VOD crazy. He's in deep trouble with money, I guess. And Stallone just bringing everything back, and Schwarzenegger just Terminators over and over again. It's quite strange.
Yeah, he's been making smart decisions.
On the subject of sequel, I do want to see. I would really love for Ridley Scott to be able to finish David's story.
Oh,
with
Prometheus 3, yes.
Covenant 2, yeah.
I don't care which one. Just wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Maybe they'll Alien 3 it, and they'll do that long-awaited Alien sequel, and they'll kill David in the first 5 minutes.
Dude, how about we get both? We get both Prometheus 3 and Alien. What was he supposed to call it? The District 9 guy.
5.
Just Alien 5.
Well, no, they were going to ignore all movies after 2, so I don't know what it was going to be called, but I think they were just calling it Alien 5. It was going to have Hicks and an adult Newt.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll end on that one, guys. Those were 2 very fun last questions. Get some passion out of Brian. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, this actually went off without a hitch, so this is pretty badass how this as soon as I say that, how this stream program works. So gave CP a little bit of a break.
Yay.
He can actually enjoy it instead of looking at the corner like fucking like every 5 seconds. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you guys are excited for the 31 on 31 action version coming at the end of this month. Yes, we are still doing the Halloween one for any of those that didn't catch us at the beginning. Keep your eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, Brian, what can we look forward to from your channel?
Other than the 31 on 31, I will be doing a week-long special kind of content for my patrons. So Patrons Week, load of patron requested reviews, and part of it is I'm going to be ranking all my patrons' favorite movies. So I could get in a spot. Wow. Could get in a spot of bother with that one.
Yeah, you're gonna see your patron count go.
Could be a mistake.
CP, what do we got coming from you?
All right, so April of 1999 is all the pieces are in place. I just got to record my part. Long going series now where I cover every month from 1999 and just have YouTubers give personal stories about the respective movies that were released in the respective months of 1999. Please go check those out. We already have January, February, March, and April should be within the next 10 days or so. And on top of that, I'm working on, I've really been in a South Korean kick since Parasite. So I'll be doing my top 10, my first 10 Korean films. I'm just going to rank them, the first 10 that I've watched, and as a special piggyback to that, a review of Chaser, which is made in 2008. And I strongly suggest you watch, Cody.
Okay, I'll check that out. Yes, guys, please give some love to that 1999 series. If you watch just one of them, you'll see how much time and effort CP's putting into it. A lot of shine. Yeah, I'm in all of them so far except for February. So you can please check that out on his channel. Give it some love because his edited content for some reason just does not get as many eyes as when somebody pisses him off. So let's go ahead and change that scale just a little bit. So when you're done with this, go over, check out January, February, and March. Keep your eyes peeled for April. As far as this channel, I have a couple of things recorded. I did a ranking of the ghost faces because I just did Leatherface. So I have that one that's going to be coming out at some point here soon. I do have some Patreon requests. Somebody requested Tremors, which should be coming up very soon. I keep talking about it, but I haven't got it done yet. Payback, which is one of the films that I talked about for CP. Should have just recorded that and edited around it.
Yeah, it's next, actually.
Yeah. So, I have those coming as well as the 31 on 31. So there's going to be some other surprises. I'm a lot more off the cuff. Whenever Sean gives me a date, we're going to do the Uncharted ranking on each of our channels. I have Batman the Arkham series ranking coming up after that. I'm really enjoying with movies kind of calming down. I'm enjoying talking about other things like the video games, like Resident Evil. Me and CP have got things kind of somewhat in works to do an Alice in Chains top 10. So might do some music rankings or something here soon. So you might see some different fun stuff from me coming up, but definitely keep your eyes peeled on May 31st on all 3 of our channels. And Sean Chandler talks about 431 on 31, the action version, the bulletproof edition, if you will. So thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, your Autopstream crew will see you again. CP, take us out.
Oh, our edible panties flavor of the evening is buttered popcorn.
Hey, there we go. That is a good one to end on.